The Lauri Markkanen sweepstakes have come to a relatively interesting hold, end in some people's eyes. Basically, we understand the overall idea of what's in Danny Ainge's mind. Quite simply, he would be a fool not to shop Lauri Markkanen around considering the type of star he is and the fact that the team's going into a rebuild. That said, everybody knows Lauri wants to stay with the Utah Jazz. He knows they're going to be bad next year. He knows they're going to tank, and he still wants to be there. That's crazy and unheard of for any star to ever come to Utah via trade or just outright sign there and say, you know what, this is where I want to be. But Lauri's doing it. And today we're going to be talking about his contract situation because an interesting statement came across the net recently, and I felt like you guys should know a little bit more about it. With that being said, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. It's your boy, Wraith Hoops. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this one. Tim McMahon of ESPN had a very interesting quote to say, but before that, he was stated as saying that Lauri Markkanen is a special player that you're not going to get a discount rate on. I mean, it's like the Jazz. I don't believe they're shopping him, but if you give them an offer they can't refuse, they would take it. There's been nothing close to an offer they can't refuse. Basically saying that so far in the market, while there have been some interesting markets, and we've broken down several of them on the channel, if you go to the channel page, you'll see, there just hasn't been enough to make Danny Ainge, Justin Zanuck, and that front office say, you know what, we have to send somebody that actually wants to be here at that high elite level of play somewhere else. The assets are just too crazy. It hasn't happened yet. Now, some other teams may feel like they're offering enough, but the front office is disagreeing. He also had a very interesting quote saying that I will walk from Park City to Salt Lake City if Lauri Markkanen signs an extension on August 6th. If he signs that extension, he's going to give himself what is a 1-year no trade exception. Now, the thing that was first kind of muddled in that information is the fact that it seems like he's not going to re-sign, but that's not the case in that one. The simple fact of the matter is, McMahon was basically doing a very hyperbolic statement to say that Lauri Markkanen will be re-signing. However, if anybody has been paying attention to the trade deadline this year, it's on February 6th. And after you sign your deal, you're not able to be traded until 6 months exactly from that date. For Lauri Markkanen, that date on which he will have the ability to re-sign with the team will be on August 6th. You guessed it. So in theory, if he is to go ahead and just, not sign that day and sign 24 hours later, 48 hours later, a week later, whatever the case may be, as long as it's not on that day, he can't be moved at the trade deadline, no matter how good an offer happens to be, which will effectively guarantee him one full season with the Utah Jazz in their tankathon to continue to work on his game, become a little bit more of a self-creationist and not requiring everybody else to set him up, though that could take away from his off-ball shooting, which I wouldn't put too much merit into. I think that overall, if he can become even some iteration of a Dirk Nowitzki when it comes to self-creation, then he would be terrific because as a spot-up shooter, he's already phenomenal. That's where the majority of all his threes come from to begin with, which means he doesn't take away from somebody that's a ball-dominant player. He's a lovely accessory piece. He's also a lob threat. He is also a solid defender. He also has great strength, and he's just improved on it this offseason. If you've seen the photos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you've seen the videos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Not to mention the fact that he's just a heck of a guy to have in interviews, to have on the court, to just have around anybody in your organization. So if you're the Utah Jazz, of course you would want to keep him. But the smart thing is to open the door, just leave it cracked a little bit and let people know, if you really want the guy, because I know he's tough, show me something. Show me something good. Something very good. Something that the rest of the league would call me crazy for not accepting. And in their opinion, nothing of that sort has come across the table, which is understandable. especially when you look at it not just from the point of view of other teams that would love to acquire Lauri Markkanen and how well he would fit their systems, but also the fact that Utah just doesn't necessarily come across as being one of the greatest free agency, destinations in the entire league of all 30 different teams, several of which that are very close to one another, but they just don't really have it. A lot of lovely scenic views, a lot of lovely people. Even Salt Lake City itself is very interesting, but it just doesn't have the same level of appeal as a Los Angeles or a New York or even a Miami these days. And because of that, a lot of players just have no desire to sign there. And then on top of that, the front office failed to succeed at big game hunting, as Danny Ainge claimed that they were going to. He said that they didn't want to come into the next season with 6 players under 22. Surprise! But it's okay, because between Isaiah Collier, Kyle Filipowski, and Cody Williams, all 3 of them were really picked at a bargain spot because they weren't supposed to be available when they were originally. And yet they all fell to the Jazz. So overall from the Summer League, there was a lot to glean from that, and I will be doing an individual breakdown video, but just understand, they're not just any 3 rookies. And honestly, I don't expect any of them to be phased out of any rotation. I believe that at the peak of their careers, at worst, all 3 of them are respectable bench role players, the 6th, 7th, maybe the 8th man off the bench, just a solid piece. At their height, they could potentially be some solid starting caliber players, and depending on how a couple of them develop, they could be even more than that. But that comes down to how overall the league ends up building itself, as well as how the Utah Jazz development team does with those players, as well as, Will Hardy, because he is that coach of the ship. And Lauri Markkanen is currently the tank commander heading into next season, and I believe wholeheartedly that he will wait that extra 24 hours, at the very least, to guarantee he's not in any rumors, because as much fun as it is for Danny Ainge to sit him down in a meeting and let him know exactly what it is so that he's not blindsided by the fact that he pops up in trade rumors, it can't be necessarily the most amazing feeling in the world when your name is still floating around day after day after day, knowing that you want to stay where you're at, you want to get paid where you're at, and you're willing to go through the ebbs, the flows, the highs, and the lows with the roster that they put around you. And I completely understand. Myself personally, I would definitely sign after the 24 hours, just to not deal with the media storm, just to prevent that 10% chance of me getting traded and make it 0. That is the correct decision if you're Lauri Markkanen. If you're Lauri Markkanen's team, I would definitely advise him to do that. Because as much fun as it is for myself personally to make videos regarding it so that I can attract more Utah Jazz fans to the channel, and, Golden State Warriors and San Antonio Spurs fans, it's also a little bit redundant to continue running back the same research. And also, to be quite frank, it's just more fun to pay attention to how the guy plays instead of where the guy could be playing. But with that being said, that's all I had for you guys today. Let me know in the comment section below. If you're Lauri Markkanen, do you think it would be in his best interest to still get paid that contract, but try and see if they could ship him somewhere specific, even though he claims to, at least in the public eye, want to stay in Utah? Or would you do like me, go ahead and bump it down 24 hours and guarantee at the very least the first season I'm with the team, with the new deal, I'm untouchable? Like I said, just let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm always interested to hear what you have to say. It's your boy Wraith Hoops. Go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, become a member, or drop a donation to help support the content. And as always, good morning, good evening, and good night, no matter where you're on the globe watching. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.